Hi, this is Margo. This is Sunday, late afternoon, August the 8th, 2021. I hope everyone is safe and doing as well as possible. We made it through another week. It's been another hard week. The smoke here in the Reno area has been pretty bad from the wildfires from California, and it's affecting me. You can hear it in my voice, and I'm so sensitive to all the stuff, but I'm gonna try and make it through this show. But first, before I start, I would like to thank the people who sent me donations in the last couple of weeks. It's just been really wonderful, and I really appreciate it. And just knowing that you're there and you're believing in my work and that you find my work useful, and it's nice to be recognized, so I really appreciate that more than you know. And I also have my Subscribestar page. The link is in the description box below. I do updates during the week over there for my members. I post something pretty much every day, and I do usually about 3 videos during the week, 3 or 4, just depending on how I feel and what's going on. So that's another way that you can support me, is come on over to my Subscribestar page, and we'd love to have you over there. So we're going to get started. This will be my weekly update that I will be putting on YouTube. We're going to go over methane and sea ice and earthquakes and Climate Reanalyzer and the usual. So you can see here, this is the Copernicus website for methane forecasts, and this column on the left is gone because right now the only data they have up is from Wednesday the 4th. That is the most recent data from CAMS. We'll look at that, but I have the NOAA methane data, and this happens periodically. But what bothers me is when we see methane going up on NOAA and then it drops here on CAMS. For whatever reason, it's not being released, not being updated. Kind of makes me wonder, because we know that the model has changed without us knowing it, and it'll be down for a few days, then it comes back on, and the changes are subtle, but then we realize it. But eventually we know, we get an idea of what's going on because of all the other websites. And I want to address another thing before I get started. I know that everybody has their own favorite websites that they go to for data, and I have my own favorite websites, and I know how to use other websites, but I find these are the ones that I've used the most and have the most mastery in, and that I like using, and consistent with showing it from day to day and week to week. But you're sure welcome to do your own research, and I'd love to see your own presentations from the other websites and what you see is going on. And I encourage other people to do their own research, and it would augment what I'm doing, and I don't have the time or energy to go use a whole bunch of other websites. I just don't. And so these are the ones that I'm comfortable with and that I like using. Every every website has its downfalls and its limitations, so we just have to work with that. And you have to remember that these are public websites, and so this is the information that is available to the public, and as such, probably not everything's being put out there for us. So I just wanted to address that issue right up front. So we're going to start with the methane data from NOAA, and this is for the 477/469 millibar reading, and this is the METOP-1 satellite that's been renamed METOP-B. This is from yesterday, the 7th in the morning. The mean or average was 1920 parts per billion, and the high reading was 2387. And these pinks, that's this range in the color chart down here. It's between 2000 parts per billion and whatever is this high number here in the range. So, it's and we don't know what the highest reading, where it is. We know the highest reading on this satellite was 2387, but we don't know where. Just somewhere in the pink zone. In the afternoon, the mean was 1921. Now that's high. Now a few days ago, the mean on one of these was 1923, and that's the highest I've seen it so far. Here the high reading on the range is 2478. On the METOP-2 satellite in the morning, and this has been renamed METOP-A, the mean was 1899. The high reading was 2655, so that's an increase there. So we've got that. And in the afternoon, the mean was 1897, and the high reading was 2344. Here's the spreadsheet and chart that I've been working off of. And these are the weekly readings, and here's our chart. And so for the 7th, it averages out to be 1909.25 parts per billion. That's showing an increase over the week before of 1.25 parts per billion. So here on the chart, here's our blue line creeping back up. It's been stair-stepping, and it does that. Last week it had gone up 2 parts per billion. It took a dive the week before. I don't know why. Anyway, we are 15.25 parts per billion higher than a year ago, and we're 52 parts per billion higher than when I started recording this data March the 1st of 2019. So from here's where I started 2.5 years ago, and here we are. Now let me show you what's happened this week. So here we were last Sunday in my show. We were looking at the Saturday data. NOAA, we look at the data from the day before. That's and anyway, that's when they release it. It's a day late. So on the 31st, we were at 1908. And that was an increase of 0.5. Here on the 1st, we were 1908.25. That was an increase of 0.25. On the 2nd, it went up 0.75. On the 3rd, it went down 0.75. On the 4th, it went up 1.75. Notice it hit 1910 that day. And up here, this is the Met-1 morning reading. It was 1923, and that's the highest we've seen that. And then on the 5th, it went up another 0.75, and that was the highest reading for this week at 1910.75. And then on the 6th, it went back down 0.5, and on the 7th, it went down 1 part per billion, but we were still 1.25 parts per billion higher than last Saturday. Now, when we look at CAMS, the data is from the 4th, so on the 4th, we've got our reading of 1910. And that's this line right here. We've been flirting with this line for about the last month, and so 1910.75 is what it was on the 5th, so just above this 1910 line. Now, we are definitely not at the end of the methane rising season. We're kind of in the middle of it, and typically it keeps going up until around October, and then it'll start going down. So we've got probably another 2 months of watching methane going up, and to see it stair-stepping, doing this back and forth thing is typical. Although a couple of weeks ago we had 3 days of no data on the Met-1 satellite, and then when it came back online, it was up to 1910.25 on the 23rd, and then on the 24th, at the bottom just dropped out of it. It went down to 1906, which was a drop of 4.25, which I think I thought that was kind of high. I don't know if they kind of did their own reset there. In any event, we're back up past or right around that 1910 mark. It's hard to know what they do, and like I said, since we don't have access to the inside information, we just have to do the best with what we've got and read between the lines and look from our own research and our own history with this. So now we'll look at the CAMS data for Wednesday the 4th. I have the Arctic view and surface level pulled up. Here's our color ledger. So the data is for Wednesday, and the forecast period is Thursday through Sunday. So on the NOAA data at 469 millibars, so it was at 1910. What was it? 1910.25, I think, or the 4th, 1910. And then it went up another 0.75 the next day. So, but that was an increase there of 1.75 from the day before. Now these are really high readings across Russia, and see these waves of methane moving out from the land over off of Norway, up through the North Sea, up through the Barents Sea. See these waves of green and yellow just flinging out all the way across the Arctic to Alaska and here in northern Russia. See, we've got reds flinging out in the Kara Sea, and then we've got combs and mollets continuously billowing, and no one's talking about that area. And I've given my thoughts on what is causing that. I won't go into that again right now. Now, there are massive fires burning all the way across Russia, and this methane, I'm thinking a lot of it is connected with the fires, and the permafrost is on fire, and there's methane stored in the permafrost. So as that's being released, burning, and of course when you have fires, methane is one of the greenhouse gases produced in the fires. You also have like sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, formaldehyde, nitrogen dioxide, all of those things that if you went over to CAMS and clicked on any of these, you would see high readings across Russia here for those. Also carbon dioxide, and so it's all part of it. Now, when I'm going to show ozone today. Now, the fires tend to eat away at the ozone layer, so we're going to see some thinning in these areas where you've got higher readings of sulfur dioxide and methane. Also, pay attention to the more subtle colors of the greens, and these are, remember, this is surface level, and so these are higher readings of methane, and I just want you to be aware of that. Look at Iceland. See, we've got some hot spots popping up. Now, Iceland, last few days, they've had more sulfur dioxide coming up. So that's from the volcano there. Alright, now we'll go to the North Pole view. Here we can see most of the northern hemisphere just looking down. See the green? Here's green. A green wave coming off of Canada across the Atlantic. Also, look at this green wave here, moving out from Russia across the Aleutian Islands over to Alaska. Here's the Persian Gulf, here's India. We can see it spilling over the borders or over the coastline. India and China. Here's Korea, it's filled up. See here it's spilling over. Those are always signs of high methane when it's spilling over like that. And see in North America, see it's almost solid green from about Texas over east, so that's higher methane readings. See, look at that. And then all the dark, just big areas, just big blobs with the highest readings. And we'll go down to the Antarctic. And you have to remember we are at record levels with methane, even though, it went down a few weeks ago, but we're still higher than we have been since we've been measuring it, or since the scientists have been measuring it and with all their instruments. So we are at record level. We are living in times that are unpredictable, and we don't know exactly what to expect. We know what people forecast and what people predict. We know what the models show, but we really don't know how all the different systems are going to affect each other. And when you change one thing with a techno fix, it tends to have an adverse reaction somewhere else in the ecosystem. So here we have, this is the Antarctic, here's the Western Peninsula, here's South America, this is North, South, this is the Weddell ice sheet here, Ross ice sheet and Ross Sea. On the southern end, this is East, here's the Amory ice sheet, and then West, here's the Weddell ice sheet and Weddell Sea. And we can see these the bright aqua coming up on the Western Peninsula. See right there, and here on this edge, that's where the Brunt ice sheet is. Also on the northern part, just popping up there. A little bit here on the Amory ice sheet. A little bit right here. I don't know the name of this area. Now the background color has increased. It's primarily this light blue, this color right here, which is 1820 parts per billion. This kind of navy blue is 1800. And so, as methane has gone up, it's risen overall. The whole background color for the planet, see, this is at least this 1820 now. Just a little bit of the dark blue comes sailing through. So that's another sign that methane's up. And we saw this last year too, in the summertime, where the whole southern hemisphere, the main background color from in the southern hemisphere was this light blue. So look at it streaming off of South America. And see this next color up and the next two colors up. We've got 1840 and 1860. We've got from this is Central America region. See, it's high around there. And then those colors here in the Atlantic, here around India, here in the Pacific Ocean. We're still seeing this white spot. If you look where my pointer is, see the white spot popping back up. That's where Beijing, that's about the Beijing area, and that's higher than the 10,000 parts per billion. That's in China. Now we'll look at 500 HPA. So this corresponds to about the same level as what we saw on NOAA. Look at the solid green. It's filling up in this bottom part of the picture. So that's higher methane readings. Here's the highest here in India, southern Asia, and up here in Russia. Let's see, here's Novaya Zemlya. This is next to the Kara Sea. Here's the Yamal Peninsula. So this is northern Russia. And then total column, look at this. So the total column is all the measurements added up through the different layers of the atmosphere. And so this is quite high in Russia. This is from the wildfires, and see all of that. And then we've got China, India, and then coming across, see the red-orange is turning to red now too. Now while we're here, let's see, I want to do it a little different today. I'm going to show you the rest of these pictures. This is sulfur dioxide from today, from CAMS. See this high reading? It shot up from Iceland. That's the highest on the planet right there. And here it is at 500 HPA. So that's where it's still red like that. That's from the force of the volcano that shot it up in the atmosphere. Here's the smoke from today. This is the North Pole view. Here it is from Russia, and see how it's trailing all the way across the Arctic. And then we've got Canada and the US, and we've got the even gray smoke coming all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico and covering the whole eastern side of the US. And there are fires all over the planet, in Greece and Turkey, and you know, it's all over. It's all over the place. And my heart goes out to everyone who's having to deal with this. It's not easy. I do think we're living in the end times, and we're in the middle of everything collapsing. And so how do we live in these times? And you know, I think we're fortunate to be aware of these things, and to be aware of the collapse on all different levels, so that we can have a broader perspective, so it doesn't come as a shock, and so that we can be ready for the end, for our end, and we can prepare spiritually. That's the most important preparation, is spiritually getting ready to leave the planet. So here's the flat view of the fires. Now here's Africa. Here's fires in South America. Now look at this in Russia. And there's that. Now I want to show a couple more things on CAMS while I'm here. Let's go to Sunday. Now here's carbon monoxide, and see its highest. See the reds up here through Russia. That's from the fires. It just pulls the oxygen out. Here's formaldehyde. See there's high readings up here in Russia, here Africa, here South America. We've got some high readings here in California, here in Canada. That's from fires. I'm not sure why the southern U.S. has such high readings. It tends to do that, though. I don't know why. Here's the ozone. Now, we did have an ozone hole open up right down here in the South Atlantic, and low enough, I thought it was almost in the Weddell Sea. It opened up briefly down here a couple of days ago, and it was this purplish color, which is between 200 and 220 Dobson units, and they consider that to be in the danger zone. Now the next color up is this aqua, which is 220 to 240, and then all the greens are below average or below healthy. So we can see, look up here, I'll go to the Arctic view here. Normally we don't see an ozone hole over the Arctic, but it is opening. See, this is not quite to the aqua, but it's a huge area. See the chartreuse? That's from the smoke. It's eaten up the ozone. And so with the thinning of the ozone layer there, that's letting through more radiation and cosmic rays from the sun, and so that will cause more heating on the surface, on the land, and also in the water and the sea ice there. Thought I'd show that. While we're here, we can look at the Antarctic. Here's where we're at with ozone here. So it's quite thin over most of the continent. Remember last year it's their winter time down there. Remember when the big hole opened up and it even went black, and we had a little white spot too. We haven't seen that, but it's still got a lot of thin areas over this area. Now I want to go ahead and do Climate Reanalyzer next, and then we'll spend the rest of the time looking at sea ice and then earthquakes. Now here we have the 2 meter maximum temperature for today. We can see the Arctic. Looks like most of it is green or above, light green or darker green. So most of it is above freezing. This is the air temperature. Where the whites are, it's quite hot. It's around 100 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. We've got a spot, see it's trailing down through the middle of the U.S. also on the western side of the U.S., also here in South America, and then from Africa over Middle East, India, and so forth. Here's 2-meter temperature anomaly today. Now, so we've got browns up here in Russia. This is over the area where we saw the high methane and the ozone hole also. So here around Siberia. And we got more browns coming all the way across the Arctic too. Now here's the flat view. Worldwide, we're up 0.2 C higher than normal. The northern hemisphere is up 0.6 C. The Arctic is up 1 C higher than normal. The tropics are up 0.4 C. The southern hemisphere is down 0.3 C. And the Antarctic is 4.1 C lower than normal. Here's precipitation and clouds today. Now we've got rain going on this east side of Greenland, which is really not good news for the ice sheet. It's been melting like crazy. It's incredible, the melt that's been happening this year. We've got some rain up here between Novaya Zemlya and Franz Josef Land. Looks like we've got a little dot of rain here in the Beaufort Sea too. Here's the jet stream, and we can see how wobbly. It's wavy, just wavy and snaky. Southern hemisphere is very broken up. It's a lot stronger than the northern hemisphere, but look, you've got three in a row here. Now, I've seen this happen before. This is sea ice and snow cover, and this is not correct. Of course, I've seen this happen. Sometimes there won't be ice up here on their model, but if you click another view, it shows up. So it's a glitch in the system there. So here from the Russia viewpoint, see how far out the sea ice is. Now here's the Lattev Sea, and it's opened up all around the coastline here. Here's the Kara Sea, all this. Here's the Barents Sea. We've got a little bit of ice left here in the North Kara Sea. It's piling up next to Severnaya Zemlya. You have to click all the way through. Here's the Antarctic sea ice. Now here's sea surface temperature anomaly. This is as of Friday. The chart here, so when it goes into the pinky white zone, that's 6 C higher than normal. The red is about 5 C higher than normal. The reddish brown is 4 C higher than normal, and so forth. So here in the Arctic, everywhere that the ice has melted, see how fast this water is heating up. And here in the Kara Sea, especially along the coastline, look, that's in that pinky white zone. Here in the Lattev Sea, Look at all of this, browns and reds and pinky white, and look all around Greenland in Baffin Bay, and all around. Look at this Canadian coastline. Here in the Hudson Bay, it's heating up. Now here's the flat view, and here in the West Pacific, all around Japan, this is a real hot spot. I'm thinking that the radioactive water that's being dumped into the Pacific from Fukushima is having something to do with this. But this is very concerning. And see, we've got reds up here in the Okhotsk Sea and all around Kamchatka. See the browns, and see browns all the way across the Pacific. Now last summer we had a big red blob here in the North Pacific. We haven't had that yet, but we've had this constant brown color here. And the inland seas are all heating up. You can see the Black Sea, Caspian Sea, Mediterranean, Baltic Sea, Persian Gulf. Here's the Red Sea. They're all heating up. So worldwide, we're up 0.5 C higher than normal. Northern Hemisphere, North Atlantic, and North Pacific are up 0.7 C, and the Southern Hemisphere is up 0.2 C, and the Equatorial Pacific is up 0.1 C. Now, we'll get on to sea ice. So we'll start with our slideshow. This is from Climate Reanalyzer for today, and this is the Russia view, and I've already explained why. It was just a glitch in the matrix there. So we'll see what happened this week. Here we were last Sunday in my show for August 1st. So we'll just click through. What you're going to see is retreat mainly around the edges and changes in the colors. You're going to see this light gray turn to a darker gray as this becomes less concentrated and holes start opening up as well. So here's Sunday, Monday. That was a big change. Tuesday, now see how this opened up. Now it closes back up, or it moves over. This can happen with the ice drift. So here's Wednesday where the hole opens up, and then it can close back up. It has to do with the ice drift and the condition of the ice. Here's Thursday. Here's Friday. And see the change. Look at this from Thursday to Friday. See the edges come in here. Here's yesterday. And then here's today. It's hard to compare, I know, because that's a different view. But that's what we've got there. Now we'll go through the U.S. Navy models. This is sea ice thickness for the Arctic. Here's our color ledger on the right. The thickest, it goes up to 5 meters, which is this dark red. I'm not seeing any that thick here. And then comes down through the colors of the rainbow, down to purple and lavender and white, down to 0. So here we are today. Up here in quadrant 1, I've named these 1, 2, 3, and 4. Here, look at all this open water. This is the Laptev Sea that's all open. Here's the New Siberian Islands. See how it's opened up around here? There's just a little bit of the thicker ice left. See the aqua? That's going away fast. And see the whitish? It's really thinning down all the way across. And then quadrant 2. Here's that thicker ice that it had been all the way over to the coastline there, but it's moving over and kind of being pushed up against Severnaya Zemlya, but we can see that's breaking up. So here's Franz Josef Land, here's Svalbard. This edge will be coming in. Here's Greenland, here's quadrant 3. This is just a wispy. There's pretty much no ice. When you get to that light lavender and the white, that's pretty much no ice. Here on the east side of Greenland, the Baffin Bay is open. This Nares Strait opened up this week. A couple of days ago, there was a really good view on NASA World View where you could see the whole thing. There were no clouds, so I'll show you that today too. Mainly we're seeing thinning going on here north of Greenland, so we have a little bit still in the aqua range, which is about 2 meters thick. But we're going down. See, we've got the dark blue and then the purple going down to about 1 meter thick there. Then quadrant 4, this is the Canadian archipelago. We've got, this is coming down, but this is thicker ice, and it's flowing out through these tributaries, and the tributaries are melting as well. Here in the Beaufort Sea, now this area, that's what's left of the oldest ice that we saw migrate last winter. We watched the models and we saw it sliding down gradually, and now this is what's left of it, and it's breaking up and spreading out over into the Chukchi Sea and the Bering, across the Bering Strait. Here's the 30-day animation. The data goes back 3 weeks, and the forecast goes out 6 days to the 14th. This is the latest data they had up. So for next Saturday. So I'll keep zooming in so we can see. We are in high melt in the Arctic. We typically reach minimum extent around the 15th of September. I've seen it continue melting after that. It slows down, but this is the highest melting time right now. I know that most of the quote experts have already said that we're not going to have a blue ocean event this year. But there are a lot of other things to consider besides just the blue ocean event. But look how thin this is. And there's so much smoke coming across that it's the ash and debris is falling down on the ice and also on Greenland, and so it's absorbing more light, it's not reflecting as much, and so the ice will be melting even faster. And then we've got the ozone thinning up here, so anything can happen. So I'll stop it. Okay, here we are at the end of the model on next Saturday. See, I show you there, the 14th. So here's what the model is showing by Saturday. See how white this is? This is so thin all the way across above this east-west line, median line, and it's really thin over here in the Beaufort Sea. So when you see this whitish, when we look at NASA Worldview or other models where you can see the sea ice, you'll see a lot of open water. You'll see the pieces broken apart, a lot of open water, and as it breaks up, then it's easier for those big pieces to melt. Here we've got a big open area. See that just on this north edge of Greenland. Here we've got it melting. See around Ellesmere Island, all these tributaries, they're opening up. Now we've got some aqua here, but this is flowing out. It's the ice drift, depending on the direction, and sometimes it's clockwise, sometimes it's counterclockwise, just depending on where it is in the cycle. But it'll push it over against this Canadian coastline and push it out. It'll go out through these tributaries. So we've got what? I'm going to look at my calendar. What, 5 or 6 high melt. So this is the 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the 15th of September is on a Wednesday. So I'd say we've got 6 weeks left of high melt. That would put us out to September the 19th. So how much can it melt? I don't know. A lot. It can melt a lot. Okay, here is the Beaufort Sea ice thickness, and this is Alaska down here at the bottom. Here's Canada on the right. Here's what's left of the oldest, thickest sea ice as it's dissipating there. Here's the 30-day animation. Now this goes out to the 15th, a week from now. They had this one updated. See, it's breaking down. Here, watch it. See, it goes from aqua to dark aqua to the blue and the purple. See the lines? Those are the leads opening up. Okay, here we are on the last day. So a lot of white in here. So this is a lot of open water that we'll be seeing. Now we'll hop to the Antarctic. Now it's their winter time and it's still dark down there, although this western peninsula is starting to come into the sun, and there are a few other areas, but just the edge is starting to come into the sun. So the extent is good. It's higher than it has been for a long time. Here's the 30-day animation. So it goes out, the forecast goes out to next Saturday. No, next Sunday, the 15th. We have a lot of the coastline where the ice is coming away from the coastline. I don't know why that is, but you know, if somebody knows, you could leave it in the comments section. So there's that. Now here's National Snow and Ice Data Center. We'll look at the Arctic. Here's extent. Here's concentration for yesterday. Now the more blue it is, the more it's broken up and melting. So this correlates with what we saw on the Navy model. A lot of melting going on. This is the extent. Here's the chart. The dotted line is 2012. The blue line is this year. We had been running pretty much parallel with 2012 for a long time. We're just slightly above 2012 right now, but you have to remember that the ice was a lot thicker and was in a lot healthier condition when it got so low than what we've got this year. It's still low. Just because it's above 2012 doesn't mean we're out of the woods. Here's the Antarctic with concentration. Here's sea ice extent for the Antarctic. the blue line is this year, this gray-green line is last year, this gray line is the average, or no, yeah, average. And now see the blue line, it started refreezing early, and see where we were at last year, and then it hopped back up, and now it's going back down a little bit. So I don't think we're going to see the extent go out that much further in the Antarctic. I just don't think so. Here's Greenland. This is the ice melt. The salmon color, this is as of yesterday, the 7th. And see, it's mainly melting a lot around the top, a little around these other edges. Here's the cumulative melt days for this whole year. And see the blue, it's even melting on the interior. And we've got, they're stacking up, the melt days are stacking up, especially on this west side. This is already up into the orangey and red zone. 60 days there. Here's their chart. The blue dotted line is the average. This red line is this year. And I see it had spiked. When was it? Last week. To like 55% melt on one day. And it's gradually come back down. And it's here it is yesterday. Almost down to the dotted blue line. Now we'll go over to NASA Worldview. This is the Arctic, and here's all this smoke from Russia. See the fires, the smoke there, and coming across here. And you can see the gray tinge all the way across. So that will affect the ice in a very big way. See that? You can't see through that. So I'll turn on this layer of sea ice concentration. Here we are for today, and so these reds, this is where it's melting and coming apart, and then it goes through the different colors of the rainbow, and where you see the purples, that's like almost not there, and blues and greens, that's in high melt and coming apart fast. I'll turn on the blue marble layer so we can see this a little better. So here's Greenland. Here's the Lat-Tip Sea. See, that's all open. Now the East Siberian Arctic shelf is underwater, and it's all along this area here, and that's where they found the huge methane reserves in the sediments in the seafloor. But it's all over the place. It's not just here. That's where they've done most of the drilling and studies. Natalia Shakova and Igor Semiletov. But they're, it's all over the place. It's not just here, like I said. And we're seeing it billowing here next to Komsomolets constantly, and no one's talking about that. So let's go back to last Sunday. Here we were last Sunday, so let's see what it's done. Here's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and here's today. So we'll turn that layer off. And now we'll look at the satellite view. I want to start here at Greenland. I'm going to go back a couple of days. Here was the day. On the 5th, this was cloud free over this nearest strait, and see, that's open water all the way down. See, open water, and just a little fringe of ice and some chunks down here. But it's a big deal when this opens up. This is a big exit point for ice. Oops, sorry. Look at the smoke. See, coming out across. Here it's kind of smearing out all the way across on the 6th. Here's the 7th. And here's today. So, we've got a lot of smoke and clouds that we're having to look through. Here's the rain on the southeast edge of Greenland. So that'll be melting the ice sheet there. Now here's the ice just north of Greenland. See that? There it is. Now we're having to look through some pretty thick smoke as well. Here's Svalbard. See, here's the ice edge here. Here's Franz Josef Land. Here's the ice. Look at all this smoke. Here's Novaya Zemlya. Here's the Yamal Peninsula. See, here's the Kara Sea. See, and there's ice here. Now here's Severnaya Zemlya. I wanted to show. Here, this is a good view. This Vavilov ice cap. This is the main one that I've read about. With it pouring into the ocean, you can see it. You can see the ice, and this is where the ice is pouring onto the ice that's in the ocean there. But the ice caps are shrinking and melting, and you can definitely see evidence of that here. Look at this. Now we're looking through some smoke, but you can see these ice caps. Look at that. Incredible. So we'll go back to today. So here's the Lactav Sea. Here's smoke. Smoke. No ice. See? This is all smoke. Now here's ice up here. Here's ice. See, there's a lot of open water. That's what I'm saying. When you see the like the purplish color or the dark blue, when they mean not very concentrated, it looks like this, with a lot of open water and see a lot of space between the ice. Some of it's just slushy, not very thick. It's not healthy ice. There's some ice. Here's Siberia. So look at this smoke. See? It's awful. And here's the Bering Strait. Here's Alaska. We've got some cut and paste here. And here's the Beaufort Sea. It's really too cloudy to see much of the ice, but we can see. Here you go. So that's pretty broken up there. Through here. Here we go. This is a good view. See? Now some years this Beaufort Sea just opens up really fast, and other years the ice hangs around. Here's Ellesmere Island, and here's Greenland. Now, here's a good view of the ice just north of Greenland here. See? See, that's coming apart. So that's what we got. Let's see if okay, well this was the 4th, so this was Wednesday. This is a good view of the ice edge here. Now there's a cloud, but you can see there's the ice. Look at here we go. Here's the edge of the Beaufort Sea. So this was 4 days ago. See, that's open around the coastline. So there we have it. Now we'll look at some earthquakes. We've had some weird ones the last day or so. So I'll start with these pictures that I took this morning. There were 241 worldwide. Here in the lower 48 we had 127. Southern California 34. Searles Valley Ridgecrest had 20. Nevada over to Colville, it's still swarming there. We've got 27, so it's going down, but it's still rocking. This is southern Nevada. We've got 6 in this picture. 2.6 at Ruth, Nevada is the largest one. Here we're looking at at the Reno area. Didn't mean to do that. We've got here's one at Dayton at 0.9 and a 1.2 near Virginia City, and then this is Sierra City 1.2, and then up here northwest of Lake Almanor is a 1.2 at Chester. Now the Dixie Fire is burning all around here. It's still burning, and that's what's causing most of the smoke for the area here. Here is San Andreas Fault area. We've got 6 here. Now I'm going to zoom in to this one. See the little diamond? That's east of Livermore. This was a chemical explosion that caused a 1.2 magnitude earthquake. This is near Mountain House, California, at a negative 0.1 kilometer depth. This came in last night at 7:45 p.m. So whatever that's about. The geysers had 16 today. Here in Northern California, we've got Alder Springs. We had this was clustering for a few days. It's still kind of rocking there. We got a 2.5 and a 2.6 at Alder Springs. We've got 1.5 Rio Dell right there, and a 2.2 and a 3.4 at Petrolia. Right on the edge there. Here in the Pacific Northwest over to Yellowstone, we only have 6 today. Colorado. Normally we don't see them in Colorado. We can. This was east of Pueblo, a 2.4 at Sugar City. 5 kilometers deep. This is Texas. We've got 3 in this picture, 2 down here in West Texas, a 3.4 and a 3.2. But then up here in the Panhandle, this is east of Amarillo, a 2.8 at Wheeler, Texas. We hardly ever see them up here. We can, but it's just an unusual spot to see earthquakes. And we had another experimental explosion off the coast of Florida, 3.9, east-northeast of Beverly Beach. This came in at 12:55 this afternoon. Now this is, I think this is the 3rd one we've seen here this summer, and the first one, and I think the second one too, was the Navy doing the story is it was the Navy doing experimenting to see how big of a what kind of damage the ship would take, or how the Navy ship would handle a huge blast in the ocean. Well, what are they blowing up in the ocean at 0 depth to cause a 3.9 earthquake? I mean, it's got to be like an atomic bomb or something. It's got to be equivalent to some kind of atomic bomb to cause a 3.9 magnitude explosion in the water, because the water will buffer it, and I don't know, it just bothers me. So this is the third one I've seen. Puerto Rico had 3 today. Here at the Galapagos Triple Junction region, it was a 5.0. This was on this point of this Cocos plate. This came in last night or yesterday at 5:49 p.m. in the Pacific. South America had 5. They're in the 4s range there. Here's one in the South Atlantic, 4.7 South Sandwich Islands region. This is the area where the ozone hole opened up. Hawaii had 43 today. Alaska had 48. The largest was this 5.4 at Attu Station. This is in the Aleutian Islands. This is off the north coast of Hokkaido, Japan, a 4.4 Nemuro. We've got 6 in this picture in the South Pacific, 4.9 Hihifo Tonga, 4.5 Sinabang, Indonesia, 4.6 Tobelo, Indonesia, 4.3 Sola, Vanuatu, 4.8 Isengel, Vanuatu, 4.8 Lata, Solomon Islands. And then we've got one on land, a 4.3 at Ternavos, Greece. And here was one that had come in, and anyway, I had to go back to the all magnitudes for 7 days to get it. It came in yesterday. It was a it's up here in the Arctic. Here's Severni Zemlya, so it's on the red line. It's not far from the North Pole, and here it is. I got the data here. 4.6 north of Severni Zemlya. Let's see, so that's not very far from the North Pole. 85 north and 86 east. There's that. Now, here we are on the website. We've got another one here in the South Atlantic, 5.0 Mid-Atlantic Ridge. This one is new, a 5.5. This is just south of Australia, not too far from the Antarctic. This came in at 3:19 this afternoon, right on the red line. Here's a 4.9 Northern Mariana Islands. We've got looks like activity. Look at all of these. We've got, look at this, one in the Caspian Sea, 4.0 on the west coast of the Caspian Sea near Yeni, Shirazani, Azerbaijan, however you say that. Look, we've got one on Crete, 4.2, on land near Simeon, Greece. That came in this afternoon. Here is that 4.3 that we saw. We've got another one right up here. Bosnia, 3.9, turn Bosnia and Herzegovina. So a lot of activity. And this is one of the signs that Jesus said to be looking for in the end. Earthquakes in diverse places, along with plagues and famines and wars and rumors of wars and destruction, all kinds of things. And that's one of the reasons I'm doing these shows, to help people realize how close we are to the end, and also to offer you an opportunity to think about the spiritual and how close we are, and that we really don't have any time to waste. And if you died tonight, would you be ready? Would you be ready to leave? So I'm continuing to read out of Timothy. This is 2 Timothy. These are letters that Paul wrote to the Apostle Timothy. But these are also words of guidance for us. 2 Timothy chapter 3. This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away, for of this sort are they which creep into houses, and lead captive silly women, laden with sins, led away with diverse lusts, ever learning, and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. Now as Jannes and Jambres withstood Moses, so do these also resist the truth, men of corrupt minds, reprobate concerning the faith. But they shall proceed no further, for their folly shall be manifest unto all men, as theirs also was. But thou hast fully known my doctrine, manner of life, purpose, faith, long-suffering, charity, patience, persecutions, afflictions, which came unto me at Antioch, at Iconium, at Lystra, what persecutions I endured, but out of them all the Lord delivered me. Yea, and all that will live godly in Christ Jesus shall suffer persecution. But evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. But continue thou in the things which thou hast learned, and hast been assured of, knowing of whom thou hast learned them, and that from a child thou hast known the holy Scriptures, which are able to make thee wise unto salvation through faith which is in Christ Jesus. All Scripture is given by inspiration of God and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness, that the man of God may be perfect, thoroughly furnished unto all good works. 2 Timothy chapter 3. So he's telling you right there what's gonna, what the people are gonna be like, and to turn away from those kind of people, and to embrace goodness and love and patience and truth, long-suffering, and that we will be persecuted, and we are being persecuted, and we will be persecuted. It's been prophesied, but remember that this is not our world. Our world, those of us who are believers, our world is waiting for us. Jesus said, I'm going to prepare a place for you. And that's what he has done. He's prepared a place for us. So, I love you all. If you haven't given your life to Jesus Christ, I recommend you do it before it's too late. I hope you have a good week, and I'll talk to you real soon. Until next time, God bless you. Go in peace, and I will talk to you next week. Good night.